quick background on that. Now, these Nigerian high sea robbers were arrested by the Eastern Regional Naval Command of the Ghana Navy in Tema for hijacking a fuel vessel in Nigeria. The arrest took place at about 10:30 a.m. Saturday, and well, we can now we can now move on to some other stories now. The raging dispute whether or not the Muslims are being discriminated against will likely be settled at the Supreme Court. A man has filed a writ at the top court demanding interpretation of key constitutional provisions on religious freedoms. The writ, among others, is also seeking a declaration that it is discriminatory and unlawful to compel Muslim students to participate in Christian services in schools. But is the Supreme Court the best forum to bring this issue to a closure? We'll get the view of a lawyer and an Islamic scholar on this matter. I'm joined over the telephone by lawyer Maurice Ampao. He is president for the Legal Advocacy Foundation. Thanks for joining us here, lawyer Maurice.
Thank you, my sister. I think good morning to your cherished viewers.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on the suit?
I think that this suit is a very difficult one, and I think that the issues that have been raised are issues that have serious consequences in terms of our religious beliefs, and where we can exercise those beliefs, where and how we can protest those beliefs. And I think that the issue raised are issues that the Supreme Court will be deciding, and I don't want to go into the merit of the case, but I look at the issue that I'm saying that the Supreme Court will be giving that divine grace and ability not only to look at the issues, but in interpreting the Constitution, the rules of constructions will prevail, the purposive approach will be adopted, so that we will have a ruling and declaration that will actually bring us together, and also at the same time ensure that we respect the Constitution and enforce every provision of the Constitution. So it's a very interesting suit.
I see. Isn't the Constitution clear enough on people's religious freedoms already?
Yeah, definitely. There's religious freedom. In fact, that constitutional provision should be read as a whole. You know, we have freedom, we also have responsibility. And the freedom, the Constitution also tells us how and where and we can enjoy those freedoms. So in the context of enjoying and professing those freedoms, we are going to test the Constitution as to whether a Muslim who has the freedom of religion, if he is being asked to come to an assembly for morning devotion, does that violate that right? This is an issue that the Supreme Court is going to determine. Because I believe that, look, if we have a lot of Muslim friends who they go to Christian.
My question was directed this way, in that if the Constitution is clear enough on religious freedoms, there wouldn't be the need to go to the Supreme Court.
Oh no, I think it is clear. But what the SUA wanted to know is that where lies that freedom, and how can that freedom be practiced? Can somebody compel another person who also has this freedom to profess his religion? So if I'm a Christian institution and I'm expressing my religious beliefs, and then you also come into that institution and you don't believe that my religious belief, can I compel you, or can I tell you that, look, come and at the same time or have those beliefs? And I think that, look, when it comes to beliefs, look, I can go to the mosque. I'm a Christian. But if I go to a Muslim school and I go to the mosque and they tell me that there is a Muslim prayers and I go there, it's about my heart. Religious matters are very sensitive matters. They are private, religious beliefs are private issues. And I think that we should see it aside. They are very, very sensitive. Therefore, I'm sure the Supreme Court is not good to look at the letters of the Constitution, but you look at the spirit, and then the purposive approach will be adopted to ensure that they bring solution to this matter. Because
indeed, Maurice, I'm going to have you hold the line just for a bit. Sheikh Shuaib, Aremia has joined the conversation. Thanks for joining us here, Sheikh.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Sheikh, what do you think about the suit?
Thank you very much. If you look at if you listen to the public discourse, some have raised the question that your right ends where somebody's right also begins. And so now we have a situation where we want to know those religious rights as they apply in educational institutions and other public institutions. Where do they begin and end? For example, the mission schools are claiming ownership of the mission public schools. The Christian bodies are claiming ownership, and so what they are saying is that even by the Constitution itself, they have a certain right to own a property and to manage that property. So that's one side. And then against that, the Muslim children, as citizens of this country, also have been guaranteed a certain obvious right to freedom of religion and the right to manifest that religion. So to what extent can we manifest that in public institutions, institutions that have been funded by government? How do we guarantee the constitutional right of people who operate and within the ambit of such public institutions? I think because we are in this difficulty, given the context within which this discourse is taking place, I think it is good that we are testing the law to find out, so that the Supreme Court should give us an interpretation that will satisfy all of us.
Indeed.
That is my position.
Indeed. Sheikh, the other bit of satisfying all of us is why perhaps those who were discriminated against did not take up this case and perhaps take it to the High Court and then seek some relief from the High Court after the act took place.
Yeah, I think that we have all our governments are aware that the Constitution guarantees us certain rights, and so sometimes to assume a certain litigant position, what it means is that it further polarizes the society. So the government comes in as an arbiter and say, look, these people are claiming certain rights. Can you give them the right? Because those rights have been guaranteed by the Constitution. I was expecting that probably the religious bodies can be reasonable and look at those concerns. Are they genuine concerns? Are they reasonable concerns? Can we do something about them? And also using institutional arrangements within the Ghana Education Service, within the Ghana Health Service, institutional arrangements can be used. But since these things are not being guaranteed, then government now comes in to state the government's position, a state position on that. That is all that the government has done, to say that don't violate the right of the children. And I think that is where the situation is.
Sheikh, do you believe this is the closure we need on this issue?
Well, it appears that it has become the inevitable level to which we must go. If you listen to one of the most regrettable statements that I heard from the General Secretary of the Christian Council, my very good friend, Reverend Opuni, it says that we are likely to slip into a state where the Christians will now take over their schools, in which case they will say that they will stop taking any funding from government so that they on their own will manage their schools. And I think that though it is very regrettable, very unfortunate if we slip to that particular end, in the end, that is what is going to happen. What it also means, the implication for that is that we will lose the opportunity to foster national integration and interfaith solidarity.
Indeed.
And cooperation.
Sheikh, I'm grateful for your time. Lawyer Morris.
Yeah.
Briefly,
Yeah.
Is this the closure we need on this particular debate?
I think that it is good that we go and test the constitutionality of the provisions as stated in the rates. But I think that it's also that's a good call to also be mindful of the security implications and then the religious implications and the safety of the nation. And I think that we will do justice to this. But I think it's also that this matter has gotten to where it's gotten to, because we have religious harmony, Muslims and traditional, and then Christians have been living time immemorial, and these issues have not cropped up. And we have Muslims who have been attending Christian institutions, and they go to morning devotions. It's about the heart. You see, when they tell you to go to morning devotion, and the Muslims stand there, you can not you have to pray in accordance to its religious belief.
Maurice, I'm afraid we'd have to leave it here for now. Thank you very much. Maurice Ampao is a legal practitioner. Now, the Minister of the Interior, Mark Oyongu, says Ghanaians must find innovative ways of getting their grievances addressed instead of resorting to demonstrations at the least provocation. He thinks numerous demonstrations put Ghana in a bad light. He was speaking exclusively to the AM show host, Mama V.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's come to the issue of demonstrations. I mean, we've seen a series of it. There was one today. There are more planned for the future. What kind of security risk do these demonstrations pose?
I think that these demonstrations pose a security threat, because if you imagine the number of policemen we deploy to shepherd those demonstrations, it's huge. We waste a lot of man-hours, resources. Resources, let's say resources. Look at the vehicles, the human resources. And I think that, we need to find ways, innovative ways of registering our protests.
What other ways would you prescribe when the people feel they're so frustrated or they have something within them that they want to voice out? How else can they do it?
They can do it through press conferences. Because I don't think that...
Will that carry the same effect as demonstrations?
Now, if you demonstrate, that's why I was asking the other correspondents. We had a demonstration on Dumso. What results did we get?
Well, isn't it putting some kind of pressure on government?
Government has already outlined what it's going to do, and it's giving you timelines that by December.
The international media covered it, and that means that other people know about our problems, our frustrations. That would put a lot more pressure on government, wouldn't you say?
Oh, no, I don't think so. Because government has already given the outline. I said, look, between now and December, we are doing this, the budgets, which people are investing in the generation, and we're hoping that by this time, water levels in the rivers will also go up, and then government has already, government cannot do magic now to address the energy crisis. It has already outlined measures is taking to address the situation. So even if you demonstrate 1 million times, the situation cannot be eased immediately. You have to still wait for the government program. And I was telling the other this thing, it doesn't look as if, people think that it is only Ghana which is going through this. I was in South Africa.
Theirs is not as intense as ours.
Theirs is not as intense. How do you know?
I did experience it because I was in South Africa recently as well.
Yes. And the provinces, they also have power curtailments. They have power outages. But the thing is this. For 2 years, I've come from the north. I came from the north yesterday. Even to get drinking water is a problem. For 2 years, we haven't had adequate rains there. The dams are all dry. The dams are all dry. And that's why Akosombo, there's no water in there. Whose fault is it? That's why there is no water in Mui. But we've come a long way. 2006, 2007, we had these problems.
So you think that demonstrations are not the way to go?
Demonstrations, fine, but not on a daily basis. They have become too many. Now, I want to believe that our country is a country of demonstrations. We shouldn't give that impression. I don't think we should. If you go to the advanced countries, they don't demonstrate every day. But you can present a paper to government. You can have a press statement, make a very strong press statement or press conference, present a paper to government. If nothing is done, then you can go on your demonstration.
you.